so much shit, right? And it's either wrong, it's either true or not. But logic tells you that it would make sense. I've always wondered, like, what stops plastic from joining the rest of the world? Like, what makes it innate, like, so it doesn't, certain parts of it.
Doesn't decompose.
But anyway, they did a study with a bunch of kids, students, and they let them eat their normal diet for a week, and they monitored it,
Yeah.
and they discovered all sorts of plastic in their shit.
Yes, that was just recent. Now they're finding micro pieces of plastic in human shit.
People's shit. Yeah. You know what we're doing for Halloween? You know what we're doing? This is a great one this year.
You're going to be a piece of shit on Halloween?
No, we're going to do better than that. What's happening is, and I've already got some problems with this.
Should I keep my mic higher than yours?
You
so
can
then
bring
I'm
it down
better?
if you want.
No, but then I want to be higher than you, but I don't think that's possible.
No, well, no, because I'm going to smoke a joint doing it. But on December 16th, we decided that it's always nice to do a food bank drive, right? And the first year we did one with the Duncan Garage Showroom. It turned out that the CVC had put a little bit of a challenge out there to various clubs in the community. And we were able to raise $420.
$420.
And the next year we raised $840, which is the double 420. And I got to mention it on the radio, and I thought it was funny, haha, back in those days. But then they stopped doing the contest, and we kept on having a food bank benefit, our local food basket, Duncan Food Basket, Couch and Food Basket Society. It's a non-for-profit that puts together our food bank. So we were, we've always, raised certain awareness in that. But this year I discovered that if you wanted to donate for Christmas, you've got, like, December 2nd is the cutoff date, and after that, they've already got the hampers, who they're going to, and they start filling them up with what they've got, right?
Right.
So December 2nd is the final date
Oh.
to affect Christmas at the food bank. So December 16th leaves us a couple of weeks behind, or whatever. But I also heard they're part of their drive. We're going to have something here too, a little place where you can either donate money or bring in toques or toys or teddy bears, anything new. They don't want used stuff; they want new stuff, right? Because it's going to young kids, right?
Right. Plastic stuff that
no,
they could eat?
No, we don't want plastic stuff. But what we did, she said that they need toilet paper. They're always running short of toilet paper. And then I started thinking, what a great idea that the December 16th, we will do a big push, like bring your cash in, and we'll give that to the food bank, for the Food Basket Society. But if you, instead of dried canned goods, which suck, why not bring rolls of toilet paper? Don't bring one roll or half a roll. Yeah. Buy a package. Take the $4.89 or whatever it is. Buy an extra pack this year and say, I owe it to someone else. And the whole idea. Now, this is where I'm getting a little bit of flack.
From who?
Well, from various people, because what I'm saying is that we're going to help people feeling like as they go into the new year, they're basically got their shit together.
Yeah. Is that a play on the toilet paper idea?
Yeah. Well, wouldn't think about it. I mean, I don't know. I'm at the lower end and have been most of my life. There have been times when toilet paper wasn't around. Right. I've lived a transient lifestyle, and
what did you do when you didn't have any?
You go find some.
What do you mean? You got your pants around your ankles and you start wandering around?
No, you try and figure that out before you sit down.
That's probably a good idea.
Although there have been times outside where I've had to use moss, I've had to use leaves.
Leaves, I was just going to say, leaves are good.
Leaves are good.
Yeah. Or there's that way you can get a single sheet of toilet paper to last, like, forever. And you fold it in half, then fold it in half again, then you rip that corner off, and then you put your finger in the hole. Just wipe with your finger. That's where that comes from.
Right, then you just pull it off your finger.
Well, no, you
and then it takes everything off with it.
You just wipe it on your pants.
The whole idea was not to shit your pants, right?
No, that's true.
So, but anyway, I think that, I don't think that's, someone thought it was crass.
It's the shit.
And I said something the other day too about
It's the shits.
Well, one of the things that went out on Facebook again was about
Let's have
with
a
this new program out in Ontario, right? The difference with the new legalization is you can't go to the store and ask the guy, "I'll pay you in a week when my check comes in." Right? They just aren't going to accept that. That's where the black market works, right? It's because you got people who have compassion for those who need their medicine,
Right.
right?
And they'll wait till payday.
And they'll say, "Okay, I'll give you the extra time." Well, you're not going to be able to get that at the local LP store, your local licensed provider. In Ontario, no, they're not going to allow that. Cash up front, or you don't get it, right? But then I had someone get upset with that too when I posted that, because they said, "Well, just a minute, you're just assuming that all poor people are druggies." I said, "No, I think you missed the point." But then it just showed me that how easily it can be, you have to be real careful. So when I say that, I think isn't it cute letting people go into the new year feeling like they got their shit together? It's a huge thing to know that for the first month of the year, I don't have to worry about toilet paper, man. Wow.
So that to you,
That's like called getting your shit together.
having toilet paper is having your shit together.
Well, it is.
I just keep thinking like it's compacted or something.
No,
like,
but is it not? We're
like
not
if
talking
you
about
had
the
one
shit.
of those, if you
We're
had
not
one,
personally talking about the shit. You can get a little shit stick, right?
What is it?
Underestimate the dignity of being able to wipe your own ass.
That's the dignity I'm talking about. Everyone deserves that dignity. I saw a guy last night. He's got one leg. He's a First Nations guy, and he's in his wheelchair. And I don't like. Sometimes I see him pushing himself along, and I go, I knew him before. He wasn't the fastest walker in the world because he's usually rocked out of his trees. And now he can hardly push him around. He gets people. I don't know where he sleeps. He sleeps in a tent down by the river sometimes. He was at the manor, but they threw him out. And he just isn't going by any of the rules, right? But what do you do with this guy, right? So he's sitting in Lois Lane last night, and I'm looking, what's that? He's sitting in his chair, up against the wall, pissing out of his chair because he can't stand up. He's only got one leg,
Oh,
So he just pulls it out and starts,
peeing in the alley,
yeah,
Lois Lane,
yeah. Well, it wasn't really an alley at that point. So it's a thoroughfare,
right?
but it was sort of off to the side. It wasn't dark yet. It was near dusk, but that he would. I don't know what that was about. Oh yeah,
Well, can I say
getting
something?
your shit together.
Getting your shit together. If you have one leg,
Well, another one
One
was
leg, one wipe.
over by Experience Cycling. I love this one today. He's posting. Will Arnold likes to do that. He likes to let people know that he's cleaned up the neighborhood, right? And that's good because he's hoping. I hope he's hoping that if he keeps on posting stuff like that, that it's not the accolades for him we're looking for. It's to shame other people into doing the same thing, right? To clean up. The responsibility is not the public works. The responsibility is any one of us who see it to get it picked up before it creates a problem. So he's real good at doing that in the morning. But he found a bunch of stuff, and he put it all in a basket, and it shows the basket and a bunch of other stuff that he got. There's always like really crappy stuff. Then he found 2 shopping carts that he was going to take back, right? One had human shit in it.
how could he tell it was human?
Well, a dog couldn't get in there.
You mean a human climbed into a shopping cart
shit in
to
the
take
fucking
his shit? Wow.
I guess what I could see from the photo, and I took a close look, was that I didn't see any imprints. It's not like someone picked it up off the ground after the fact and put it in.
How do you know?
But you'd have to wonder because, if you're living on the street, solid shit's not something that happens.
I would know. Is that a
Maybe
fact?
we're going too deep into my life that I don't want to talk about.
Yeah, you're getting very.
Now,
revealing.
alcoholism, it's never a problem.
I thought
That's
you
the
said-
problem is,
But you're trying to fight that stereotype that people are on the street are not alcoholics and drug addicts. They're good people,
no, homeless people,
homeless.
not
Oh,
necessarily
that's
people on the
different.
streets. There's a different homeless
What?
people.
So there's street people and homeless people. There's a differentiation.
I think there is because
Yeah.
homeless people have a tendency to, or a propensity to couch surf.
Yeah.
They have people, they have a support group, but not long enough to actually be able to stay, so they have to move around.
Well, I'm homeless. I don't have a home. What do you mean? Like that you own a home or you rent a home or you have a place?
I wouldn't know. I question that too, because I think almost all of us are one step away from homelessness.
Well, it's interesting where they call it home care when you're old and they stick you in some building somewhere and you're not, you're in home care, you're sort of homeless. And they have a big communal breakfast, which is really nice and social. And this woman...
Yeah, right. At that age, that's when you drool and you slip it out. You know, who wants to sit? You know?
Well, there was a woman, like there was a guy that came to her table every morning, and he wasn't there one morning, so she, you know, he's old as hell. And then she went up to his room, knocked on the door, and he said, yeah, you know, he says, are you all right? And he says, I'm just having a lot of trouble here. And he says, the door's open, so she went in, and he couldn't, he goes, I can't hardly walk, you know, and he goes, I don't know what's happened. And so then she helped him out of the room, down the hall. He's had real trouble going down the stairs. And then she got him to the breakfast table. He ate his breakfast, and he went to get up, and then he just fell over because he goes, I can't feel my legs anymore. So they freaked out, and they phoned 911, got the ambulance to come, and they, you know, first thing they did was take his pants off to check out what's going on with his legs. And he was wearing boxer shorts. And he had both legs and one leg, you know. So he couldn't move, cut off the circulation.
Is that a true story?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
So, you know, that can happen when you're homeless too, that, you know.
Well, we have some gentlemen in town, we have one guy who's, I love him dearly. He's you can smell him coming a mile away. But he's in a wheelchair.
Oh.
And his legs one foot's cut off and the other leg's cut off at the knee, but he was
a different guy?
Well, he's a bushman. This guy was a bushman. He was a hard worker, but he was out in the woods and a couple of years ago, and he fell through the ice.
Oh, you were telling me about him.
Yes.
And then he had to drag
Half an
him.
hour in the water that he finally got out of the water, and then he had to drag himself to the nearest village, which was quite a distance. It took him 3 or 4 days to get there. And when they got there, his skin had actually, on one leg, the knee was black. It was just wasn't, their skin was falling off, so they had to,
Frostbite.
total beyond frostbite, so they cut that leg off and cut him off with the foot. But a wonderful gentleman, but you would never expect.
But it's a real survival instinct to crawl for that long. And pull yourself out, too. I mean, that's cold if you're falling through the ice. You got like 10 minutes and your body's just
Yeah, to have that, to do what he did was an amazing feat.
superhuman feat.
Amazing. Sorry, I didn't mean to use that word.
Which one?
Feet.
Feet. Oh, it was a feat.
Yeah,
It
he
was
doesn't
quite
have
a
any.
feat. He's down to 1 foot.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, that'll learn him.
You know what you call a dog with one leg?
Uh,
Things are on one-legged things.
a dog with one leg?
Yeah, what do you call a dog with one leg?
Well, you can't, really, can you?
No, you can't. 'Cause it doesn't matter what you call him. He isn't going to come. Now, you asked me what rhymes with orange.
I'm supposed to.
You asked me.
I did ask you before.
You ask me now.
What rhymes with orange?
No, it doesn't.
What does it rhyme with?
What doesn't rhyme with orange?
Everything.
No, you said what rhymes with orange, and I said, no, it doesn't.
I know, I heard you, but nothing rhymes with orange.
Specifically what?
Is this like those two guys in the
Okay.
baseball?
What do you call?
Who's on first?
What do you call a fox with one leg?
Oh, I'm not going there. On national TV, he's
Okay.
a national hero. I think that's like cruel. Really, it's very funny. But everybody knows that guy that had cancer.
You know what you call a fox with one leg?
Now I do.
Terry.
See, you don't have to mention his name. That's the beauty.
Oh no!
You just said it. And that makes you an asshole, but if you just sort of infer...
No, the whole thing is that I'm not saying that he would have laughed at it, but there are some times when, you know, at your own expense,
It's your
right?
own
When you have to sit there and you've been hoodwinked and it's fallen in there and it's just like one of those. Even he would have to sit there and go, "That's funny."
That's funny. Yeah. Yeah, I know. These days, it's getting harder to be funny without offending somebody,
Oh,
or
it's
there's
so easy
some
to
line
offend
you
people.
crossed, or
I love offending people.
know.
I don't mean to. I can offend in many different,
Languages?
not in many, but I can offend many different religions and lifestyles, and I'm really good at doing all of that.
You're not as stupid as you look.
No.
That would be impossible.
There you go. You got it. Yeah, we had a whole bunch of one-liners that we've been trying to figure out how to slip them in here tonight. And John just got a point.
I got a
Things that
point.
we've heard earlier today, like
Uh,
my what in orange is a,
I know. I was just playing dumb there.
yeah.
I know
Yeah, which
what
is
doesn't
easy.
rhyme with orange. I just see where you were gonna go with it. You know,
I saw
why doesn't it rhyme? You go, no, that
It's
doesn't
not
work.
why. It's what.
Yeah, I know.
What
But
doesn't rhyme with orange?
it's like who's on first, and
No one's on first.
yeah, no, who's on first?
I'm going to smoke this joint. You know what I'm about to do right now, ladies
Who are
and gentlemen?
those guys,
Is it legal
Trevor?
to smoke on television?
This is illegal.
It's not really what you think it
Words
is.
out?
I did this the other day.
It's a fake thing.
We don't ask questions.
No.
No, there is some questions here. I mean,
I mean,
to have a whole bunch of people to go ahead and tell everybody in the universe, specifically the voters in Canada, that as a promise you're going to legalize marijuana.
Where are you going?
Well, if he's smoking a joint, I'm smoking a joint.
Well, you come up here and join us as a partner.
Yeah, he's the guest.
You could be a guest.
I thought he was a guest. Or you said I came all the way down here because you said you had a guest.
She's our guest.
Well.
But she's shy.
Yet. She's interjected quite a bit already.
She has. You know. Do you want? We have a mask. You could wear a mask if you
No,
like.
that's, can't count on quick-wittedness.
Oh,
Well,
neither am
can
I.
he's
Well,
terrible.
You guys are doing great.
You know,
No.
we gotta show John more genius. So if you get up, then he'll look good. So he's always happy about looking good.
I got 5 cameras. You're already a part of it.
Yeah, you're already
The
in
fucker.
here. You might as well just come
I'm
up.
just a heckler in the
Nobody's
crowd.
So,
watching.
will you shut the heckler up? Jeez.
Shut the heckler up.
2 microphones.
Do you know what I had a good one the other day? Or just
That's okay.
Are
yesterday?
you talking about shit again?
No, I'm talking about this. Rob McKenzie was having a really rough day. He says, I said, you want to meet for breakfast? He says, no, I can't. So when he says he can't, that means he's having like problems with at
The
home
family
or with
again?
with this,
I thought we
with the
sorted that out
caretaker,
for him.
with a whole bunch of things he could have. There's a bunch of things. But he says, no, I'll just muddle it. I'll just muddle it through. I'll just muddle through it. And I went, muddle.
Muddle.
Basically, like I said, that's a great one. I'm going to workshop that one with John because you got to figure like muddling. You know,
Muddling. Yeah.
you know, if you've been muddling for 10,000 hours, much the same as if you've been a couch potato for 10,000 hours, you're a professional, right?
Give us-
Right.
And if you've been muddling for 10,000 hours, and so if you muddle your way through life, I mean,
Whoa, you'd be a
I
good
looked at
muddler.
Rob and I said, Rob, look, you've muddled your way. Look where you are now,
What's the
Yeah.
definition of muddling?
playing in the mud.
No, it isn't.
Playing in
No.
the mud.
Muddling is like muddle through. Like you're in a haze and you're just sort of, you really don't know what's going on. And
Can you use it in a sentence?
we're muddling through this show
Right.
because we don't know what we're doing.
We do too.
It's
You know
going
we
on
should.
25 minutes.
It's been 25 minutes already?
Going on. Yeah.
Holy crap.
Shit. Now we're back to shit again.
Yeah.
See, it's just a roundabout kind of thing that goes on here. We did this on
It's a
the
good
17th. 12:02. We lit up our joint. We had a big joint. We sat here and talked for an hour and 23
We told
minutes.
you it was coming
It
up.
might have
We-
been 11:57.
No. Okay. Yeah, right.
What was 11:57?
When you said, you know, we're going to start the countdown to legal pot,
Because we wanted to see if we felt a difference.
if there's
It's
a
like,
difference.
we know what it's like to smoke pot illegally, but now that it was legal, it's
But
There's
I'm
no
not
fun
legal right now.
anymore.
I'm smoking in a
maybe it's
public
boring,
spot.
right?
We've invited a person from the public to be in here. This is a public
No,
spot. We
she's
are
not.
illegal right now.
I
could be
have to
busted.
go now.
There's
You are an
people-
accomplice, sir.
I
people
am
working
not.
with the
You're
RCMP
going to
that
jail.
are
I
quite
was just a
excited about
guest.
this.
I'm just a passenger on this vehicle.
Testing for THC. It's in a system, I can tell.
It's not. I don't imbibe. I don't imbibe.
It's not very polite
I've
of
never
you.
You don't
been
buy it?
arrested.
You don't buy it? No, you.
Imbibe.
Oh,
Sort of like muddle.
I could have vouched for the not buying. Just joking.
Just joking. So what else? So what else?
So what else?
Did you hear about?
There's been a whole bunch of new councils. I would like to announce that anyone on Vancouver Island, if you live anywhere north of Victoria, the world's going to be a better place until you get past Nanaimo.
Did your friend get
Lanceville's gone nuts.
Did your friend get in? The one?
Do you
the
think
Yes.
North Cowichan's really
Oh, I'm not
going
going
to
to say she's my friend,
No, but the one.
but
for
the one I
mayor,
thought would be the best mayor,
she
my
got in?
choice. I think she's a great team player. She's already been on council for 7 years, so she
Yeah.
knows how the game's played.
Yeah.
She knows how to conduct meetings. You got Tom Duncan, who's a union man, who knows what a
got the
win-win-win
popular
situation
vote,
is. Yeah, he got the most popular votes again.
Almost
But as a union
600.
guy, he's win-win-win. You're
600
never
votes?
looking to be
Out
better
out of
than.
5,000 people in Duncan.
And
Well,
you got
there
300
was
votes.
just over 1,000 voters.
This is probably the
So
worst.
The way it is.
No, it's about 35% or under turnout.
Crazy.
It is.
The winning vote, there was like 8,000, just over 9,000 votes cast in North Cowichan for mayor.
Yeah.
Out of 52,000.
Out of 52,000
Yeah.
people. Yeah, no, you know.
And
this
now
is-
there's people bitching who didn't vote.
Right, of course. You got no right to bitch. I think, we should.
That fucking L. Sebring, man.
LC?
Al Sebring, the Doug Ford of North Cowichan.
Oh.
I didn't say that.
No.
I heard the Catalyst paper sold to a Chinese corporation.
What's catalyst paper?
The big pulp mill in Crofton there.
Did it go to I didn't hear. I thought
Chinese
I heard it was a
bought it?
Canadian out of Vancouver.
Oh,
Chinese
somebody made
Canadian?
a lot of money and not much coverage over it. It's been pretty hush hush. You'd think that.
You know what else there's no coverage over right now? Is there was a gas pipeline explosion in northern BC. Someone got in,
Prince
took
George,
pictures of it,
yeah.
and it looks like it was a toilet paper roll unrolled. The whole thing just gave way. No pumping station, no nearby, either it exploded or whatever reason, no one knows yet. But when they get it back up again, they can't push it more than 80% pressure. Just because
Might
the
blow
laws state
again?
they can't for safety reasons, right?
Right.
Which means that they can only push about 50% of the LNG gas that goes through it to the places where it's supposed to go. Which means that our gas prices will be probably going up around $2.
$2 a chunk, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But you think,
It's
that
part of the
nothing
squeeze. It's all-
spills.
But it's all part of the squeeze. What's happening tomorrow? Interest rates are going up. And they figure 3
Yoo-hoo.
more interest rates going up,
Yeah.
hikes in the next year.
It's about time.
Well, yeah.
I'm a pensioner, like I need high interest rates. You need to be high. I need high interest rates.
You need to be interested.
Did you see the markets today?
All right, you're one of
falling
those
off.
guys who knows all this shit.
Yeah. Today they're starting to fall, and like I'm like a fallen guy. I cheer when everything goes for a shit,
There's
especially
that
if
word
you
shit
don't
again.
have. Shit's a very interesting word. It's because you can say that's the shits, which means it's good.
George Carlin-
Really shitty.
Eh?
George-
Or you say that's shitty, which means it's
Yeah,
bad.
George Carlin had it well when he said that shitty's a really good word, and that it tells you things like, he paid me back, but he did it with a really shitty attitude.
Shitty attitude.
Like shitty attitude. You can get behind the word shitty.
You can give a shit.
You can give a shit.
You can take a shit.
You can give a shit.
I could give a shit.
May I remind you, we're live broadcasting.
Right.
We're just playing with shit.
Don't give a shit.
Shit.
Don't give
You
a
don't
shit.
give a shit.
Yeah. I take shits. I don't give them.
Yeah.
You know the difference between, you know why they say love is like a fart? If you gotta force it, it's probably shit.
So love just leaks out of its own accord.
Shakespeare said something like that. one
Yeah, it
time.
leaves a
Yeah.
stain on you.
What did Shakespeare say about love? Can you think of a line real quick?
I don't think he was really into that, really. Was he?
Love is a many splendored thing.
That was
That was a song.
no. Who wrote that? Love
Hammers
is a
and
many
Rogers.
splendored
thing.
thing.
Was it like Rogers and Hammerstein?
Yeah,
or
something like
somebody
that. But it wasn't them. It was someone. It was a duo of writers.
Oh yeah. The
But it wasn't
duos is
Rogers
good.
and
And
Hammerstein.
it was probably maybe what was that? Doris
who sang it?
Day. Doris Day and who was the gay guy she was always with? Rock Hudson.
Was he
Nobody
gay?
knew he was gay. Yeah, he
No.
was. You know who his partner was?
Was he gay?
You know who his partner
didn't know
was?
either.
You know who
What?
his partner was?
No.
Jim Neighbors.
No.
Yeah, can you imagine?
No.
Gomer Pyle
No.
and Rock Hudson.
Oh God.
I wonder who
You're
was on the
joking.
bottom, right? I think
Golly.
oh, golly, Rock, that's big. I can't go on the bottom. That ain't going in my bottom. Not today. See, now are we in trouble for talking about dead guys that were gay?
No.
No.
But then
saw
you know,
thing-
I'm having it like recently. I've been noticing like every time I look, there's another initial.
Oh, on the end of all the
I just call them
What's
alphabet.
now?
The alphabet people.
the alphabet people.
LMNOPs.
Element of peace. See, and you know Louis C.K. and he was masturbating in front of women, and he did it in front of Sarah Silverman, but he asked her. He said, "Do you mind if I masturbate in front of you?" She goes, "No, go ahead. I'd like to watch that." and then other times she'd say, "No, not today, not really," you know. But she says, "Really fascinating to watch," you know. He did it about 20 times. He goes, "He's a friend of mine," and he says the only thing he kind of made a mistake was that that's when we were really young and we just were fooling around and it was okay. But he kind of forgot that once you get up there and you're in a certain position, it's not a good idea to whip your dick out, you know? So, you know, there's a lesson to be learned there. You know, I was on the bus and they're all staring at me and I said, you know, we never seen a guy with his dick out, really?
Well, I went to the doctor the other day, and she told me that I'd have to stop masturbating. And I said, "How come?" She says, "Well, I'm trying to examine you."
Quite distracting, really.
I used to go to my proctologist every day. He says, you can't check your prostate gland enough, really. And after a while, I just, you know, he gave me a glass of wine. And, I didn't know what he was doing back there, but I went every day. I mean, I don't have prostate cancer, but, you know, I got a sore butt. But the wine sort of kills the pain.
At least you know.
Well, my doctor did one of those prostate exams, and I asked her. I said, "Look, is there any way you could use two fingers so I could have a second opinion?"
I had a woman doctor was doing it, and she had little stubby fingers, you know. And I'm thinking, you're not gonna make it up there, you know, with them little fingers, you know. This is not gonna be good. I could tell, you know. And like she's like pushing and pushing, and all of a sudden, right, that whole hand disappeared.
What's that condition where people shake a lot? Right? So they're
Palsy.
they're trying to go in there and
Oh yeah,
Right.
no, that's what they say for women. Why they really love 70-year-old gynecologists. Why do they like them?
Right.
Because they when they examine, well, let's have a look at that.
Okay, now we're going over the edge.
So we covered gynecology, proctology, psychiatry. It's the shits, man.
and back to shit.
Back to shit. Always come back to shit. See, that's the idea of the show. We could call it the shit show.
That's like one of the very first things you do.
What's
It's like
that?
a baby human.
Yeah,
You know, you're born
yeah.
and then you shit.
Some of them shit before they come out,
Yeah.
which is not a good idea.
Right.
They should be sent back, those ones.
Right back in.
Yeah.
Go clean up after yourself.
The Vikings, if they had a baby was born and it looked like it didn't look good, they'd either throw it in the river or just throw it off a cliff or leave it in the woods. And about 20% of their babies were like, they go, we can't have any weaklings around. We can't have. Another thing they did was if you got a gut wound from a sword, they'd make you drink onion soup with lots of garlic in it. And then the guy'd sniff around to see if he could smell the soup,
It's coming out.
see if it's coming out, and then if you did, they go, you're gonna die, because and they said even these days a gut wound like that is, you're not, and the chances of you living are small.
So don't get speared?
Don't get sword fights or speared, yeah. Like in Jesus when he was on the cross and that guy speared him.
That saved his life.
It did. That's very true. Can you tell us why, John?
Because it let the pressure off his lungs so he wouldn't bleed to death. His lungs would have filled up with blood.
His lungs were filling up with fluid.
By sitting up like that, sitting up with fluid, and what it did is it released the fluid.
Yeah,
And of course, it was blood
releases,
because he had to go through the skin to get to the lung.
Right. Leaves them hanging there longer to make it worse.
Yeah.
Those Romans thought of
You know, there was a little
everything.
this is funny, there was a conversation that took place just prior to all that day. It was early Friday morning.
Bad Friday, I think it's
It
called.
was bad. Well, it depends what point you're looking from. But it was a little known conversation. It was overheard by a friend of mine in the crowd, and it went, "Look, buddy, I don't care what your name is. You drop that cross once more, you're out of the damn parade."
Yeah. When he got up there and he was saying stuff, like he kind of babbling, and the Roman guy couldn't hear him, so he got a ladder and got up to put his ear to Jesus' mouth, and Jesus was singing, "I love a parade."
No, that's. But I will tell you something closer to the truth. Rhododendron.
Oh, yeah.
Rhododendron.
Was it rhododendron?
Rhododendron plants are grown legally all over our community and every community. But what they don't realize is that in the rhododendron is an active hallucinogenic painkiller that has been studied and noted to be studied for over 2,000 years. In other words, before Christ,
BC.
there is documented study of the rhododendron. Now,
The effects
in
of
the
the
60s, they came up with this rhododendron. They found out that the guy was studying these by minute amounts, depending upon how much. You could take a rat, for example, and cut off its leg, and the rat wouldn't know that its leg was cut off.
What would you call him?
Anyway, you'd walk around without realizing
supposed to
that,
go
right?
with
Just a
that.
minute now.
Okay.
And then what happens is they realized what a painkiller it was, right? But there was a point when you could administer just a touch over the line, and it would make the person appear dead to the world for up to 3 days. As a child, in the Anglican Church, we had that picture. We had slides, and you always see that picture up there of what they supposed Christ was on the cross, and he had the thorns on. And I remember them saying, the guy goes up and stabs him, and then he's thirsty, so someone goes up and gives him vinegar.
Right.
Gives him vinegar. And I
Wow.
remember for years going, that's an insult to injury. Can you imagine being thirsty and grabbing a bottle and drinking and going, vinegar? That's, that would be just, ugh. But do you want to know what the carrying agent for rhododendron hallucinogen is?
Water?
Vinegar.
So you think it was a fix? He got
Well, it allowed him to be comatose to the world. And
Well,
for
that's
3
something
days, and then he came back in 3 days. So there is a physiological explanation is all I'm saying. There is something.
They have done studies and studied, if you took a body and did what was described that happened to Christ, they said there's no way a human being would survive that.
What? Put pins through your hands and pins through your feet?
Getting hung like that and being up there that long.
He wasn't up there. That's why they put the. That's why
No, I know what you're saying.
they did that,
his
and that's why they
coma-
did the rhododendron. Because as soon as he died to the world, they took him down.
Right.
Right.
But they did a study because they were trying to prove.
They didn't talk about the rhododendron plant, did they?
No, they didn't.
No, because no one ever wants to talk about drugs.
But if the guy was in
Drugs,
if the
plants.
guy was in a coma, but they said what happened to him prior that was enough to kill him. So
What-
they had doubts about that whole thing.
Well, I would have to say the rhododendron plant, which
Could've
has been
played a part.
documented.
No,
you
no,
know.
I appreciate that, and for me, that's a more logical explanation.
It-
You
like
know, the
most of it.
walking on the water thing. So in the Sea of Galilee, it's very shallow all the way out. So when the fishing boats come in, they're parked way the hell out there.
Like North Bay, Ontario.
Sure.
You can walk out North Bay forever. You want to go for a
yeah,
swim?
yeah. You got to go
you,
way out.
you go up for a
So-
mile and it's
so
up to your knees.
They had like floating kind of raft docks that were just out in the water, so you could walk. They were just floating, but they got water logs, so they would like sink slightly below the surface. So when you were going out to your fishing boat, it looked like you were walking on the water, and that's what they used to call it, walking on the water to go to your boat. But they were walking on the docks that were partially submerged.
You know what? We're being able to really, I mean, lately, I don't know, but it appears that we've been blowing a big hole into the whole Christian, not us,
Myth.
but everywhere I turn around, there's a whole bunch of things that go just a minute. You know, logic says, like, what? You believe that? No wonder they believe in Trump so much.
And he lies.
Huh?
He just outright lies, and they just go for it. They don't really care. It's very
When
interesting.
when that evangelical guy comes out and says that, hey, it's only a journalist, we can't let the jobs get in the way. We'd lose all those jobs if we went any further. Just leave it the way it is. And he's got a whole
What's he talking about leaving what the way it is?
this whole thing with the latest Saudi Arabia,
Oh,
where the government when you're
105 billion in arms.
when the
compared
rest
to
of the
one
world, yeah, but you
journalist.
know who the biggest sellers are? England, France,
U.S., Germany.
and U.S. And, like, and
US is the
none of
biggest
them
in the
before
world.
Canada is right. So none of them are stopping selling arms. to
Germany
them.
did. Germany canceled it.
Yeah, but France didn't, nor did England.
Not yet.
It's harder when you go. The deeper you go, and the more you find out how. Sometimes that's why I think they say ignorance is bliss.
Most of the masses are in ignorance. They dumbed them down with super slushies from the 7-Eleven.
There was a thing that happened to us in our local elections just recently. A gentleman who was running for mayor, I won't say his name, but he lost.
That guy with the house?
No, yeah, the guy who owns a house in town. Anyway, he went to the he called an all candidates meeting for Sherwood House and Wedgwood. And those are the old folks' houses up here. You know, big apartments with lots of elder people. All our elders who are eligible to vote. So they got in there. There was him and his slate of guys. And they went in there at the appointed time and said, where's the rest of the candidates? Well, I guess they don't care. They didn't bother to show up. But you see, it wasn't a public all candidates. It was something that he created and he neglected to tell the rest of the people. And he said, well, it's their job to find out.
Yeah. Maybe they just forgot. 'Cause they were
Well, they never
busy.
knew. No one ever told them. So how could they forget?
How do you forget?
And the only
something you
reason we
never
know
knew?
about this is that someone caught it at the last minute and went along and found out what was going on. And then a 91-year-old lady who was in the, who happened to be a mother-in-law to a gentleman who was saying, how did the all candidates meeting go? Real good. They spoke real eloquently. I really liked them. Well, how did the women do? Oh, there's no woman candidates. There's only guys. They spoke real eloquently. No, Mom, there's 3 women. There's 4 women running. Were there no women at the all candidates? No, it was just guys.
Maybe
So-
now we're into the transgender
So now you've got, no,
thing.
but what you got is when people approach it that way, right? That,
Secret meetings?
well, not secret meetings. They're withholding the truth, withholding evidence, withholding, not giving the whole story with which anyone to make, to go any deeper. Like
Isn't that what
that
politics
91-year-old,
is
what
all
would ever
about?
make her think she would just go, oh, too bad there's no women running. There never was when I was growing up either.
No.
You know, so she just assumes there was no women. When in fact, you know, we
That
have
was-
4 women on our council.
that
The mayor's
was-
women and 3 other girls.
That was the woman that helped that guy that was stuck in his boxer shorts, actually. That same woman.
That woman.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. You have to have an extra. First of all, the size is no.
No what?
You couldn't get your leg successfully through two legs into one.
Have you seen
I tried it.
91-year-old guy's legs? There's not a lot of meat on them.
These leg holes aren't that big on boxer shorts.
Sure, they can be as big as you like. Extra large.
If you got no body, then why would you have extra large?
Because he's old. Because he used to be big. Now he's old and skinny.
Are you talking about your dad? Is your dad watching?
I hope not.
Me too. He's
I'd
going to
be
hear
in
you
trouble.
say
Actually,
shit.
my cousin's there with his wife and my sister.
Oh.
Yeah. I stuck around for a while. Smiled. and
Let's
nodded.
not get into family details.
Right.
Everyone's got a family they don't like. Or
I'm the black sheep. Sheep is sheep
No.
plural or singular?
Shep.
A shep. Yeah, I think you should drop one e at least. I would be a shep.
There's a whole list of those today, again, on Facebook. So much information goes in that I can hardly retain it enough to spew it back out again.
How long's it been now, Trevor?
We got 40 minutes and 37 seconds.
Okay, we gotta wrap it up before an
It's
hour.
almost 8 o'clock. 7 o'clock. Oh, we're still good.
Yeah,
We can do, we can just cut it up and we got 5 shows right here. That nobody will watch.
No, I think you're going to find out that Paul Jutras will watch.
He's gone fishing.
He'll come back and watch it at another time. That's what he does. Is he goes back to the archive, which is a wonderful thing. We're having a problem today. I started losing my energy a little bit, and it's hard enough that a guy that used to come here all the time and offered to help me build the stage and all that decided that he's going to run his own concerts and grab a lot of the artists that we used to use here and take them out to another place because he can serve beer out there and use a venue which I thought it was a non-for-profit. I didn't know they rented out on such a commercial value to one person so they could run a business out of that. I think that's running a business out of a, and
So
I don't think
you're complaining about
I'm not complaining. I don't ever want to complain about my
peers,
not your peers, but your
competitors.
competitors. But anyway,
not?
it's happening, and he's doing what he's doing, and I wish him the best of luck, right?
Do you?
You know, because first of all, it is about the music, and now we have another person that I worked with has at least at first they used to call it the showroom, and I convinced them to stop doing that, and now they call it the destination venue, music venue in the valley.
The destination.
And
Does he have 2 E's in it or just?
no, but anyway, so it's over in another area, out by Crofton, and it's a wonderful thing, right? And they're paying and they're spending an awful lot of money, and I hope they get their money back. But I've been in the game a long time, and it looks good, but I'm not sure. So we're no longer a drinking generation out there. The ones that drink, what is the cost of a beer now?
In a bar, a pint, maybe like $6.50.
$6.50. What happened to the 25-cent glass?
Oh, that's
When you can afford to go
So
out and
when
knock
was the
back
last time
knock
you did
back
it?
3 or 4 tablesfuls and get drunk. At $6.50, wow.
that's one beer.
What?
Oh, if you were,
To get a serious buzz on, it's $100.
but you're going back to the days when it was men and ladies and escorts had to come in a different door and sit in a different place.
No, this just wasn't all that long ago. It was only 50 years ago.
That's
Only
2
30 years ago.
generations.
Only
That's
35 years ago.
2 generations ago.
35 years ago. Anyway, so
Why
so
did
then
they
I'm up again. But then I find out too that our local theater, our 731 seat theater, decides to put on shows for on the stage instead of because if you only have
In the
100.
cinema over
Yeah,
here?
no, the big theater, the Performing Arts.
Oh,
Theater.
at the...
It's a 731 seat theater. Now, if you only have 100 people in there,
Yeah,
you better hope they all sit as a group.
I've seen that happen.
When they spread out and there's like It's really funny. I always like to make sure I sit far away from everyone, just so it makes the guys on the stage.
Well,
feel
it makes
better.
for a better wave, you know.
Yeah.
When everybody. You
Anyway, so they decided to take that show and put them on the stage now for 100 people. So basically, they're going up against us. So I'm sitting here going, what is the purpose of what we do? We have many a musician who is that have traveled extensively around the world, performing in many, many halls, in many, many venues. And like, I'm sure they say each one is the best one they've ever played. And you would say that because each one is very unique and everyone is really nice. But they specifically go out of their way to mention how diverse, unique, hip, cool, far out, groovy, wonderful, remarkably enchanting venue that it is, with really good sound.
Are you talking about here?
I'm talking about the Duncan Showroom.
Oh.
So when I hear that, I say, well, I know the other places are good, but, and I don't think these people are all lying to me, man, just trying to make me feel good. Well, it does make me feel good, but, you know, because
Well, there are certain rooms like the Black Sheep in.
the Black Sheep is
It's
an
a
old
terrible-
tavern.
I've been there. It's terrible. But
And terrible. You know what? I went there with Harry Manx,
yeah.
and it was a Sunday afternoon show, and I just, excuse me, so I made sure that the black cloth was over to the very end, so you
Yeah.
couldn't see the light behind it.
Right.
And then I extended it over a little bit to the right, so that when the train went by, you weren't watching the train so much. Right? And I just dressed it up and made it look like it was a presentable stage. And I noticed a huge difference. And I asked one or two people, and you know, one guy noticed. He said, "Yeah, you know what?" I said, well, "Yeah, well,
These are subtleties
I'm here
that
to
are
see."
lost on
But it's the
people.
subtleties that just go.
That make the place. That's why this place is so hip, because it's subtle.
I wouldn't say subtle.
It's not
It
in your
slaps you in the
face.
face real quick. But no,
Well, why are all these people opening competing venues that eventually are going to go broke? 'Cause
well, they
they'll
believe
find out-
they believe that after 15 years of me being in the business and doing what we're doing every day, every night of the week, that it must be successful.
Oh,
I mean, the only people that don't know who show up, how many people show up, are the few people that show up, right?
the only people say
Well,
that again. Just say it exactly as you said
I
it.
could not. Could you play that back?
The only people that show up are the.
No, now you got it confused.
No, I was confused because
Yes.
I just
I
wanted
was
to
good
say
at
it
that, yeah.
again. Yeah.
No, the only people who know who didn't show up are the people who did show up, and there aren't never. Sometimes there's not many of them. So if you only
The
have
only
three
people-
if you only have 3 people in the audience during a night, right?
Yeah, audience.
How many times how many people can they tell? Well, I'm going to have to tell everybody what it's, no one showed up. Well,
It's
even if you told
discouraging.
all your friends, you're still, by the time it's all over, you still wouldn't have, but 20 people know, right? So the general public always feels, like same as me, I think that the Osborne Bay Pub is doing extremely well.
Osborne Bay.
Yeah, it's the Crofton Hotel.
Okay.
I feel that they're doing well, and I wish it success, because when I was there working there, I thought it was like, it's got the potential up the yin-yang, right? It should be a good draw. It's as good as White Rock, and there should be people going out there. But for some reason, it's a hard drive to go there, but then now they got a shuttle service, but that starts costing, and people don't drink the way they used to drink anymore.
No.
Well, I shouldn't say that, because at any one
Well, you
given
go
night,
down to downtown Victoria, man. Like
downtown
on a
Victoria,
Friday
downtown
night.
Duncan, any night at midnight when that bar closes and they all head over to the courts,
Yeah.
or the Queens on
Just over
the
here
Jackies
behind
on
the
Jackies
theater.
on Queens.
Is that the
the Queen's on
sports
Jack?
bar or something? The sportsy bar
Yeah.
upstairs there. That's the last place to get booze after midnight in Duncan.
No, the wine bar, but they're not allowed in there.
Oh,
They wouldn't know how to conduct themselves.
no.
It's a different crowd.
Well, that's the other thing is the different types of crowds and people. The loud, boisterous. I mean, you're trying to run a place that you tell people to shut up, and I don't know if people take to that. I understand why you say it, but you got to say it more politely.
Excuse me, would you please shut the fuck up?
We were very upset over there.
I noticed. You stayed right to the end.
Did not. We
You did
walked
too.
out.
You did
We
not.
walked out.
You did not.
Guys, celebration my ass. That's what we said.
We were in the middle of conversations when Ollie decided to interject with his sense of humor, which was not the same as ours and was not requested.
What did he say?
It doesn't really matter. That's how intrusive it was. It wasn't very good, or else I would have
she
remembered
said
it.
something. You didn't nail
I trust her
head.
judgment. I did at the beginning. I told her to shut up. Remember? Do you remember?
Do you remember being told to shut up?
No, you're gonna have to roll that back again.
Jeez, like,
No, but and I've had that, that talk where, at Mom Miller's where I go on Sundays, everybody just yaps the whole time you're playing.
until you finished.
Yeah,
then they clap.
And they clap.
They stopped mid-sentence.
Yeah. There was
Mid-sentence.
one guy right in front of me, and I was finished, and everybody kind of claps, and he's like looking at his phone. And so I go, there's a guy on his phone, and then he goes, at least I didn't talk while you were playing. What could I say?
I brought in Ryan McMahon when I had a chance to work the now Ramada Inn. And I brought him in, and it was really hard to get people to go to that pub because people just weren't going there they weren't before, and it was a hard time to bring the showroom concept to there. But I have Ryan McMahon, and I've built a stage. I've made it really nice. It's a nice PA. And the guy in charge who hires me comes in, and he sits down with this girl that I think he knows where he's trying to meet. And from the moment Ryan starts singing, he starts talking. As soon as he finishes, he stops and claps and listens to what he says. And as soon as he starts up again, he starts talking. So Ryan stops and nails him.
Yeah.
Just nails him. He chuckles and goes back to talking.
Yeah.
And this is a guy who is
running
trained to be a hotel, and he figures that the numbers are crunching to be okay. And he's the guy that's going to decide what entertainment goes in there and what they get paid. And everybody in town thinks that that's the thing to do. And they're just getting alcohol. They lead you by the nose. It's the simplest addiction in the world.
So, when you think about this show is actually brilliant because we're talking and we're not pissing anybody off and it's okay.
Well, there'll be people listening going, what?
Do you think? Well,
Why did you
I'm just
talk
saying.
about that?
What? No, because you're saying, if somebody gets up and plays music and everybody's talking and we're talking, we made that the show. Are people going to talk when we're talking?
No, are people going to go out there and play music while we're talking?
That's what we should do.
Would you put that guitar down, please?
Guitars away.
I'm trying
We're
to
trying
talk.
to talk here. Maybe I'll try
Let's
that.
get our priorities
I'm
right.
going to try that in Mom Miller's.
Well, much the same as I have this one that I'm trying to get. What's his name?
Ooh, Ollie?
No, Bench Road.
Ben
Our great guest,
Oh, Laird.
Laird. I got to get a hold of Laird's wife because she said she'd do this for me.
Really?
Which is, I've got a suit jacket. Remember one of those $5 ones?
Mm-hmm.
Cut it in half
Oh, and sew up what was on the other
and
side.
show up one of these kind of lumberjacks on the other
lumberjack,
side, right?
Yeah.
And then what I would do, because I've been going around telling everybody, why the half beard, I'd go, excuse me, do you have any business cards? Excuse me, do you have any spare change? But I'm going to change it up so that the suit is, excuse me, do you have any business cards? And this would be, excuse me, sir, do you have any spare change?
Spare change, and you'll have the lumberjack on the shave side? Or the
On
suit?
the shave side.
Oh. So it's like you're swapped twice.
No, it'll be showing people that their misconceptions, or that their visual conceptions are misconceptions.
They're visually misconcepted.
You make visual misconceptions.
Yes. People do.
Extremely.
Perception is everything, really.
If you were to take some of those people that, some of those bearded
Ladies? Do you think that they were really ladies, or
Transgender.
way back then?
I have that book. You gave that book to. Was it you that gave that
Oh,
book?
the special people.
Special people.
Yeah, I didn't even really look. Apparently,
Didn't you? Oh, you have no idea?
No.
Special People. It's a book called Special People. It's about all the people that were born freaks. 7'8", 2'6".
There was a guy, and there was a guy
large feet or whatever, or would have could do all sorts of contortion things because their body wasn't normal. Large nose that came out, or double heads.
There
And
was
stuff like
one guy with his organs were outside his body.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so
So those people got jobs in the circus.
in the circus. So
And they made a living, but they had to be. They found celebrity.
found what? Celebratory. Celebratory.
No, celebrity.
Like they were celebrities.
There, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how you say that. They
I
found
just did.
fame. Yeah, but
No, celebrity.
celebritin. So they found celebrity.
T.
They found celebrity.
Yeah.
Through their deformation.
Through their deformation.
Deformation. I went to the CNE once in one of those freak show things, and there was a guy that was like doing magic, and he had a coin on his hand like this, and he goes, "Watch this," and then he starts going like this, and the coin is like hopping from one hand to the other, and it looks like it's running up his chest, So I'm thinking, holy shit! And he goes, you can have this. I'll show you how to do this for
For
$5
$1.
cents.
No,
it was
it was a
5
nickel.
cents. It was way back. So I'm thinking, I'm just racking my brain thinking, like, how could that even work, So I get it for 5 cents. It's a little piece of fishing line with that you tie to your butt and with a piece of gum on the end. You stick the coin on the gum, so it's just hanging there, and it's your hands that are moving. It's not going anywhere. And I felt like I was ripped off, It was like a carny trick.
It was good string.
Yeah,
Well chewed gum.
Yeah, I know that was all fine and dandy, but 5 cents, I could have bought a great big thing of bubble gum.
I personally had the same thing, so I was duped as a kid too. And I'd go back to the same guy I'm watching, sell things to somebody, and then he'd upgrade them. By the time they got out of that, it was at the Ottawa Exhibition. By the time they got away, right, they had spent over $100 when they didn't plan on it. And all they did was take something from free, and then he would get them to trade it up. Would you like this? Give me $1, and I'll let you trade up to this, and you can have trouble with this. And the next thing you know is, once he had you nailed, man, these guys were good.
Carnies, very good.
Really good carnies. It was a fine art.
It was.
And,
Deception.
I got to work in the circus. And not carny, but the circus. There's two different aspects to that,
Yeah.
right? And the circus is a very tight family of basically people that wouldn't fit anywhere else.
No. All the freaks and geeks and...
Freaks and geeks. One of the guys that worked in our...
Where do they all work now, do you think?
We went school systems, everything else. There's still a circus,
No, Ringling Brothers. Barnum Bailey shut down.
No, they still do it. They go and do circuses around. There's a circus. There's a circus
Elephants
newsletter.
and Three Ring and...
Yeah. There aren't as many as there were. I actually worked the last tent circus in Canada.
A tent circus, yeah, that. I mean, there's the carnivals and carny thing with the rides and, shoot this and throw the ball and that kind of stuff.
Our girl that was selling candy floss, I think, or whatever else she was selling, when the girl who quit and left the show partway through it, we needed someone that would go up and do the high wire act on the thing. So this chubby little girl, guess what? You're the new high trapeze girl.
Oh.
And she had no idea what she did. It was, and it was, man, it was the lamest circus I ever went with. Well, I never went with many, but it was like I couldn't believe. But what I saw there was this wonderful camaraderie, this wonderful family thing.
What was it again?
Camaraderie.
Camaraderie.
Yeah.
Is that like a cross between commodity and camaraderie?
Yeah,
So your friends were like a commodity.
but they were
What'd you say?
camaraderie.
Commodity. No wonder the circus was lame if that was going on.
Yeah.
Does
But
that was
we-
the name of it? The lame circus?
No.
These people that
No,
can't
but
walk.
it turned out that the circus I went to when I was 4 or 5 years old in Smiths Falls,
Yeah.
up on the where the racing track was. I forgot there was even a race car track up in Smiths Falls, and I went up there and we went to the circus. And as it turns out, the guy who I went to work for the circus, and the reason I went to work with the circus is because his uncle had owned that circus, and he was from Perth and I was from Smiths Falls, and so he was a year or two older than me, and he'd gone to that same circus. So we both remembered. He says, "Yeah, I wanted to revive the tent circus." So we went out, and he's out there doing it. And 2 shows a night, no, a show a night, 1 on and 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday, for 6 months. And you in the
Wow,
last 3
6
weeks, the
months.
last 3 weeks is when you make your money.
Oh.
The
Wow.
rest of it is paying off all the bills.
Oh, I see.
And none of us are getting paid any much salary. I mean, it
No.
was ridiculous, right?
How could you be 6 months? You'd
But
be freezing.
We start off May and we go right through to October. It was
Is
pretty
this
cool.
before the chocolate factory?
Well, yeah, long before. But this was a touring. We went on a tour.
Right.
You know, but we never went. It was every little small town there could be. It was the whole thing and the whole production. How it was done was an amazing. It was a wonderful experience to be sitting there and holding a stake, a steel stake, you know, like a tent stake,
Yeah. Some guy
with
pounded
one
it.
hand, and say, "Okay, now I'm going to hold this. I want you to hold it on this angle, right like that, okay." And this guy who's got a grade 3 education,
If that.
but he hangs out with but he hangs out with the elephant because he's in charge of the elephant. So he has a drink with the elephant every night to calm the elephant down in the beginning of the season because it's cold. They all of them have to stay warm, so they drink a bottle. Anyway, weird character. Nice guy though. I had to sit there and hold it while he took a 12-pound sledge, roundhouse with one hand, grabs it, brings it down, and then he hits it. He says, "No, don't move your hand or you're fucked."
Yeah.
So you had to sit there and trust this guy.
Try to trust, I was thinking.
And I learned real quick to trust him.
Yeah.
And then I learned real quick the art of doing it so that I would then have young kids holding it while I hit it. I said, "Just don't move your hand or we're in trouble. The moment you move it, it'll slip off. You just got to close your eyes or do whatever. Right? Just don't move." And it was a wonderful thing to do. And there would be moments when it takes like 13 people to put up that tent, but there'd be 7 of us in the beginning of the season and near the end of the season because you're always getting young kids who want to run away with the circus, right? And
You got your start then? You ran away with
I ran with the circus when I was 27.
Wow.
And it's been uphill ever since.
I can imagine.
Tough uphill, too. That was as low as you could go. Except that the camaraderie
The camaraderie was really
and the
good.
camaraderie.
The camaraderie. And then I'm thinking like commode.
The commode. That's back to shit
Camaraderie.
again, right?
Back to the shits.
So it was a night off. We have a night off. What
did
do we
they
do?
do?
We had a night off, and you know what? You know what? My grade 3 non-graduate, grade 2 graduate.
The 3 years I spent grade 3 were the best years of my life.
You know what he wanted to do? He got us all to go out and do bowling for beer.
Bowling for beer.
And we bowled, and whoever had the most points had to buy the other people beer.
Whoever got the most points had to buy the beer?
Had to buy whatever it worked out.
You
No, it
gotta
was
lose.
whatever it was. It sucked anyway. It was just the whole thing about me was that I was going out bowling in this weird town, right? And then we played a little town in New Brunswick where the French bikers wanted to kick our butt because we were, you know. It was
You reminded me of when I first came out to Vancouver, and I didn't know about mushrooms in Ontario, but I found out about them here. And we lived in this house, and there was like an archway going into the living room. So we figured out this thing where we put a hook into the center of the archway and hung a ball down and made the rope. So if you stood with your back against the arch, two guys either side, and then you get the ball and you just wing it at the guy's head as hard as you can, and then because the string, it'd just go right up, right up your face, but you couldn't move like your hammer thing. Don't move, whatever you do, So, we're pretty mushroomed and having a great time just slinging this ball, and you never get hit, but it sure looks like you're going to get hit. So this other guy, he's watching us do this, and then one of our friends was laying on the floor because we didn't have any furniture. And he goes, "Hey, Bill, watch this. It's amazing." So he takes the string off the hook and takes the ball and just wings it at Bill laying on the ground. Hits him right in the nuts. And he just grabs his nuts. And he's going, "Ah!" And the other guy's going, "Oh." Like, we're going, "No, it's on a hook, you idiot." But that's, that was mushrooms
That's drugs.
and idiots.
What do they say? Reality's for those who can't handle their drugs.
Yeah, could be. There's a lot of unreal.
I'm glad I am
moments.
where I am right now, but I'm sure glad I did what I did to get to where I am right now. There's a lot of stuff that I wouldn't recommend, opening your mouth and saying, "Okay, what's in there?" "Oh, thank you very much. What did I just do?" "Well, I guess I'll find out, right?"
Yeah,
And being a Cheshire cat for 2 days,
yeah. We had a guy like that. We weren't sure about this stuff, so we said, "We'll just give it
Give
to
it to
him.
him.
See
Give
what
it to
happens."
Davey. He'll
We-
do anything.
He's okay. Well, he looks all right. Well, at this point, you know what Dave and Jerry did at this point? And Jerry goes, "I ain't got any more." And Dave goes, "That's it for you?" And he goes, "I got nothing." And then they went, "Okay, show's over." And they got up, shook hands.
Dave and Jerry who?
Dave Letterman and Jerry Seinfeld.
Oh, good.
Because he has the same kind of setup, 2 chairs, but you got your own table beside you.
I had two tail. I had one over there. I used to have and then
just
one in the
saying.
middle. This one here had the bodyguard on. I got a body. We didn't.
Bodyguard.
I didn't get the setup as much as I wanted to. This was a.
I kind of miss the old set. And
Yeah, well, that was a lot of work.
it was a bit
It
of
was
work.
a lot of work.
And and the other thing I liked about it was the single
Notice the
mic.
colors are up front now.
The colors are up front.
There's
Oh,
no
were they
colors
be
in the-
behind?
Yeah.
Oh.
Whoa.
Well, I did notice when we were playing, it kind of went really psychedelic, and I was thinking, wow, how's that
Well, that's because we had the
happening?
lights on the back too. Hey, Bill Levity's supposed to be here at 5 o'clock to pick up lights.
Yeah, he's come and gone.
Oh, did he? Oh.
I hope you shut this thing off like a long time ago.
No, we're going to finish it off right.
How do you do that? Commodore. This show is the shit show.
So is the shit show.
So ends the shit show. Not with a.
I don't think it's all that. I mean, if you've ever been in a position where it's not, "Oh, I forgot to get toilet paper, but I can't," like toilet paper's not on the list of. When it's food or toilet paper,
Well,
You know,
put
you
it
would-
this way: if you don't have food, you don't need toilet paper. What
You
comes?
must run out of food 3 days before you run out of toilet paper.
yes.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't
But people
have-
steal toilet paper. So what do? They now put all these big rolls, and they make it really difficult for anyone to keep their shit together. And then what are the first thing they say to them? "You ain't got your shit together." So what we're trying to do is help them out. And I know it's a play on words, a tongue in cheek, but anyone who's there is
Ooh,
going to
don't
anyone
say
who's
tongue in
receiving.
cheek.
When I did this, I got to tell you this story. I was up for Christmas, and I've never been a family guy for Christmas much. I did with my parents, and then I got out of it, 'cause even with my kids and all that, it never worked out. So I never had a family to go to, and it was always just a bit of drunk up or party down. But I went to my son's about 5 years ago. We went up there for for Christmas, and they had the gift exchange. I had never played that game
Oh
before.
yeah. Oh yeah, where you, if that's what you want,
You got
can
there's 20 of
trade
us, right? We all pick a number. So number 1 gets to pick the first gift, right?
Yeah.
And then number 2 gets to decide whether or not they want that gift or they want to take another one,
Right.
right? Well, I showed up with this big parcel with cardboard wrapped up real nice. But what I'd done is I'd put cardboard around my present so that it didn't, you could touch it and not really know what it was,
Right.
right? So the very first girl, number 1, she went for the biggest present, which was mine, right? She opens it up and it's 24 rolls of the plushest toilet paper. Like, it's for you. It would be for the Queen. Deluxe. You know, like you want to use it 5 times. You know,
Good shit.
it's just really there. It's like soft and everything else is like
Soft
what-
shit.
you want to lay it down and sleep in it, right?
You could.
But anyway, it's really like, but you
Who's
would
that
never
guy?
buy it for yourself. You could never justify. I could never go in there and justify buying that stuff. I said, I don't care how good it is. I couldn't walk through the counter and have people see me buying toilet paper that expensive when I can't afford to pay off certain bills, right?
Right.
So, I mean, there's all that connotations to it, right? So she won it the first, and she was kind of disappointed. That was the most sought-after gift out of 20 people
Really?
throughout the whole night. You know why?
Why? I was just gonna ask.
Because
Why?
no one would ever go out and buy that for themselves. But because it was a
Oh.
freebie and it was so plush, it was like, God, I want
I
that.
want that.
Because I'll never buy that for myself.
It's funny how we don't think of ourselves as worthy of, 3-ply toilet paper, Like, do you just get that really rough 1-ply stuff that you have
I
to
used to
use?
get it. I used to like. What I used to do is buy the little
Newspaper?
6-packs of recycled newspaper, or whatever it was, recycled paper, and it would make. It wasn't recycled
kinda
toilet
brown.
paper.
It was
wasn't
already
reused.
brown.
Yeah, that was a mistake when he brought that one out. Yeah. No bleach in this one.
Used
Yeah, well, you
toilet.
better bleach it.
Used toilet
But
paper for
anyway,
sale.
I would give that away for Christmas. That was my Christmas present. I'd buy about 10 of those because they were inexpensive, and I'd go spend my money. And I'd walk around on Christmas Day or that and a day, within 24 hours, and tell everyone, give each one their role. I'd say, here's your Christmas present. That way you'll think of me for the month of January.
Right. So you were on a roll.
And the other thing I'd do is give, I used to get this
Metaphorically
incense that was 5 of a kind.
Yeah.
And they stopped making it. It was a certain company. And I used to get it at Wing-Ons, and I'd buy like 10, 15 packages of that. So every time they burnt a piece of incense, they would think of me.
you. Yeah.
And that was the whole thing. And that's what Christmas was about, right? It's not the size of the gift you get, but it's about the sentiment that goes with it, right?
That's a good pun. Sentiment with some incense.
Yeah, sentiment. With some incense.
Sentiment for your commodities.
Sediment.
Sediment for your commodities.
Did you ever know, did you ever get into Charlie Farquharson?
A little bit here and there. I didn't not a
You ever try and
steady
follow any of
diet.
his conversations? I mean, he was brilliant.
Yeah. No, I can appreciate it. I don't recall
How he could
anything.
create words.
We just made them up.
Well, he sort of.
Or massacre a word.
Well, he would just think that whatever word needed to. Well, yeah, he was kind of an intellectual on it. I just do it
Yeah.
because it sounds like it should be there.
Yeah. Well, how many times
Ooh,
were
fuck
you
it.
in grade 3?
Hey, if you could, not many.
You must have been grade
No,
2.
no. Here's the problem. In grade 3, I went kindergarten. They weren't going to let me into grade 1. They weren't going to let me out of kindergarten. Said I was a troublemaker. And then grade 1, I got Mrs. McLeod. Okay, she hated my guts, right? And then grade 2, I got Mrs. McLeod. She decided to go up a grade, so I got her again. I figured this is going to be holy terror. And then for grade 3, I got Miss Hall. Miss Hall. Miss Hall. Beautiful. Oh, I was in love with her. But they also, for some reason at that time, decided to put me and 9 other kids in grade 3 and
Special
4
class?
together.
Oh, That happened to me.
So we sat on one side of the
Yeah.
room, and the rest of. So she taught us grade 3, and then halfway through the season, we started doing grade 4.
Right.
Well, the problem with that is that at the end of the year, the honor student was 94.6, and I was 94.2. So that was a grade 4 student, and I was just a kid, getting in trouble all the time, but I still pulled off a 94.2, which is pretty good to do with 2 years in one. Except that it made me kind of young when I went into grade 5,
Yeah.
which made me young when I went into grade 6 and 7, and which
Yeah.
is where all the kids are now finding their sexuality, but I'm just still like, what?
You hadn't found your penis yet.
I didn't. Yeah. Well, I found it at enough early age.
Did you?
Dad taught me about masturbation.
Oh,
Serviced me
How
well.
old were you? Do you think?
Imagination is a wonderful thing.
But how old were you?
It's one of the biggest questions I ever have. If I have sex with a woman
Yeah.
and she's not there, do I still have to have her permission?
Imaginary permission?
Yeah. No, I mean in the position in that I have permission in the imaginary,
Yeah.
but if I have imaginary sex with a woman, do I have to get her permission to have imaginary sex with her?
Well, that would be proper.
Excuse me, miss. I know you're just walking down the street, but I'm just going to walk over here right now and have sex imagining you.
Oh, so you go up to an actual woman and say, "Would you mind if I imagined having sex with you?"
You mind? I'm going to have imaginary sex with you. I hope you don't mind. Do I have to have your permission to have imaginary sex? You're making this complicated.
You know what? Because that's
I'd
an
like to
interesting
define it.
concept, though.
Yeah.
Because number one, would that be harassment right out of the,
Well, I'm not so sure it's the question you want to go up and ask, but it can be a coy little come on line, right? Excuse me, do you mind do I need your permission if I'm going to have sex with you and you're not there?
Yeah, I mean,
It's kind of a compliment in a backhanded way.
well, definitely, but no, that's an interesting. Well, we have a female in the audience. Maybe
Are
we
you
could
gonna pay royalties or what?
pay royalties. Oh,
Oh.
for imagine. Yeah, sure. We'll give you imaginary dollars.
It could get very complicated. I suggest just
What?
no kiss and no tell.
Don't bring it.
I
up
would.
at
I
all.
mean,
Phrase it
it's not
properly,
specifically in this day and age
Don't
when
pull and tell.
don't pull and tell. I love that. That's the good one,
Yeah,
right?
That was worth
No
it the
pulling
whole
and telling.
night. No, I pulled, don't tell.
That'll be the last time you ask me for my opinion, I would imagine.
No, I
no
love
way.
that.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I can see there's a formulation going on there. Same with the muddle one when I get around to it.
Muddle.
There's a song in there. There's a
Muddle
whole
through
song
it.
thing about muddling, right?
Muddling.
I'll just
Well,
muddle
there's
through it.
middling and muddling.
Well, if you muddle through it,
yeah.
and if it becomes a habit, you muddle through things, right? But as you're muddling through, you're still actually getting somewhere, right?
But that's I think because there's so many beautiful women, and then in your mind, it's not that I want to have sex with them per se, but there's some part in me that is attracted, like immediately.
I find a wonderful companionship with
An
with
imaginary
another
woman.
person once I've had sex with them.
You better say that again. You find wonderful companionship.
I find there's a connection that takes place once sex has been taken out of the equation.
Oh,
Once the element of suspense is removed
Right.
and it's been done, the action has been done, the deed's
Right.
been did.
yeah.
You then are back to, oh, okay.
You can just.
What was our attraction? Where was our attraction? Was it beyond that, right?
Yeah.
And if there's a contaminant of solace and a wonderful bonding, that's a wonderful thing. Like two ships passing in the night, right?
Well, that's a little different because it's like the two ships bumped into each other a little bit.
Oh yeah, as long as it's not a collision course, which it
No.
has happened.
It
already.
has happened. I was gonna say. I mean, I was giving that some thought about the people in your life, or in the past, where that you thought they were your friend, but really it was a dysfunctional relationship that there was an attraction based on dysfunction as opposed to, you know, sexual or friendship. But you
I think
you
it's
mistake.
I think it's delusional that anyone believes that they're in the same place at the same time.
Yeah, like, but having said that, and if they are delusional, but they don't know they are, and it's like the imaginary having sex with the imaginary sex with the woman, you know. So are you imagining having a relationship with a person, but really it's all just dysfunction that's really screwed up, and you can't understand what's happening because in your mind, it's you think it's something that it isn't.
There's been a lot of talk about robotic sex
yeah,
with
with the dolls and
female dolls.
yeah.
But have they not developed a male doll yet?
Yes, they have actually.
That's the whole.
Yeah, it does the whole thing. Yeah, yeah. Because you know who was more interested in the dolls? Because who plays with dolls? Women. And you
And
know
my-
they
and-
got ripped off because Ken didn't have
And my
any
young
junk.
friend Davey, when he was a kid,
What's that?
David liked to play with dolls. When I was
Oh,
a
did
kid.
he? Okay. But, you know, Ken didn't have any junk. But Barbie had all the parts, sort of, you know. There was an outline of this, that, and the other. I think now they're, what do they call it?
Anatomically.
Anatomic.
Don't ask me to say words right.
Yeah. I was thinking of atomically. Yeah. You know, like, that's what I was going to say.
There you go, thinking again.
Yeah.
Hey, we got to get ready for dress rehearsal Tuesday.
Yeah.
You're going to be playing that tonight, aren't you?
I believe, you know, now that I'm here, I think I could.
You've been having a band the last little while.
Yeah, well, you know, this will go no further than you and me, but, you know, well, Paul, I sort of like said, well, like I'm going away, right? And I said, this will be the last night for probably over a month at least, you know. Definitely over a month. And so I said, so, like, if you want a chance for, you know, what are we, the headband or whatever, you know, to get together tonight would be it. So, but I was thinking, I don't really want to, you know. I just want to play by myself, play by myself.
Play by ear. Okay, Paul Juniors, come on down here. We'll get the drum set up for you right away.
No, he went fishing with his kids. He
Oh,
told
yeah.
me. And Ollie said, I can't quite make her. And then my friend Bill that came up like ages ago, and he's the kind of guy that he tells you he's going to do something, and at the last second he'll say, oh, sorry, something came up.
You know, I understand it, and that's okay. That's a fear.
Is it fear?
Oh, you
he
don't
said
know.
he got a flu
I've
shot.
actually refused. I've actually missed going to my daughter's when she had organized a party for me to sell my leatherwork in it, and I just couldn't get. I couldn't go. I came up, and that's again. This is good for Facebook because Facebook has shown me that there's other people who go through this too, right?
Of fears.
Well, not fears that. Well, I just don't want to go out. Well, I'm not going to go do that. Well, I'll just stay home tonight. Well, I'm really not needed there. Well, like you know, and you come up with 1,000 excuses and you don't go out. And before you know it, bush fever, or cabin fever, and it's not really cabin fever, but you just start spending so much time alone. And that's why I understand what you're saying, somewhat, and that you just you know that. The aloneness becomes a safer place to be, and you just assume to be in there. And it's not always the safest place because you tear yourself apart while you're in there, but at least you're not having to interact with people.
Mm.
And that becomes, and it's a strange thing that starts happening. And you can find, I think there's a lot of people, well, in this day and age, why wasn't it ever raised when we were kids? I don't know, but mental illness is it's not that it just happened. It's been around for
Yeah.
since day
Under
one.
different names and so on. I spent
The symptoms have always been there.
I spent a month alone in a cabin just by myself, and like it should have been just a week, but in the night when I was masturbating, I thought I was going for a bottle of lube, but it actually was a bottle of glue. And so my hand actually stuck to my dick, and like, there's no way you're gonna go somewhere.
This is the improv part.
This is the what? This is the truth.
No, it's not. You
And
want to
so
buy a
I'm
bridge?
just trying to say about, you know,
Hey,
being
we're
alone.
open for open mic now.
You can imagine, like, I wasn't going out with my hand glued to my dick. You can't even get your pants on. Have you ever thought about the terrible situation you're in?
It hasn't been the foremost on my mind, but now that you've planted the seed, I'll go home and think about that tonight.
Just turn the lights on when you're reaching for the lube. That's what I learned, you know.
I made a terrible mistake once.
Oh, yeah.
There was bottled water for a while that came out that was in a square.
Oh, yeah. Recently?
They stopped doing it. No, this was years ago.
Oh.
Probably, well, it would have been 20 years ago. Anyway. And it was square bottle. But methyl hydrate also comes in a square bottle. And I was driving to the airport, and Glenn McIntosh was in the back seat of my Volvo, which had the front seat taken out on the pad because it was a two-door, so it was easier to get in.
Right.
Rather than
Don't
lift
need
the
a
seat
seat.
up all the time, just fucking get rid of
Yeah.
it. So, and we're going up there, and we just get to Herd Road, and the light, I get through the light, and we're going. And again, I never leave on time, right? So I'm going to have to. There's no time for stopping. You got to get there, okay? So I'm thirsty, right? So I grab underneath my seat, and I feel the square bottle. So I pick it up. It's the water bottle, right? So I open it up, and as I'm talking to Gleno, I put it to my mouth, and I take I go like this. This is terrible. It goes. 2 swallows, but I don't swallow. I let it go through twice, but I hold my breath in such a way that it just gets in my mouth, and then I'm going to swallow. And while it's sitting in my mouth, and it's a second gulp, so my mouth is full, I realize this is not water. And I go, what the fuck? Oh, no, it's the methyl hydrate. And I immediately associate the 2 bottles and go, what the fuck? And like this split second. So it's open the door, spit it out while we're still driving. Trying to get, is there any water back there? Get the real water, try and get that in and blow it out. Because I can't stop.
No.
Because I got to get to the
late.
airport.
Yeah.
So I get to the airport, I give Gleno the car, and I get to Vancouver, and I phone home to make sure that everything's okay, and he's not home. And I get worried, and I get worried. And then the next time when I phoned him the next day, what happened was he came out of the airport. He's new to the area. He turned right instead of left, drove into the Nanaimo.
Oh.
And we're almost on empty, so it was like, oh, God, it just became a horror story.
Methyl hydrate.
Poverty is fun.
Wood,
Poverty is
alcohol?
fun. Poverty gives you so much, you know, things to keep you occupied,
We're always trying to find a way to do things.
just to survive.
Yeah.
What's going to happen in the next little while when people realize that
Nobody's going to
interest rates have gone up and that their gas rates have gone up and that all of a sudden there's priorities are changed?
I met a woman from Whidbey Island, and I said, you know, that's where the submarine pens are. That's where there's at least 3 nuclear missiles aimed to take out those pens. And, you know, it's not far from here.
What pens?
Nuclear submarine pens off Whidbey Island. It's a naval base.
Where's Whidbey Island?
Whidbey, it's just off Washington State,
Oh,
just
it's American.
south. It's American, yeah. But I mean, whatever goes off there is coming here. Like, we're not going to escape it.
Why don't we ask them to move them?
Move the submarines, please.
Well, right now, Trump has just canceled the
With the Russians, this is why I'm a little more on edge. You know, never mind mixing up a square bottle of water and methyl, whatever it was. Now they're talking about, because it was a specific missile that were said we're not going to develop those, and then now he says the Russians have been developing them because they fired a bunch of them. And said, look what we got. He goes, wait a minute, we signed a treaty about this years ago, and they went, yeah, I guess we did, but
Did he?
not him, but a treaty was signed
Did they send them
25
up?
years ago. There was
Did they send them up?
Yeah, there was a missile
do you know?
fired. It's a. I
Did
forget-
Trump tell you that?
Not Trump. It was in the papers. The missile Russians were testing. They had some huge war games just off the Ukraine. You know how many tanks they have? 36,000 tanks.
That's about how many of the Americans make and send over to Saudi Arabia.
There's no way it's that many. 36,000 tanks. That's a lot of
Do you
damage,
know how many
man.
gears the French army tank has?
2,
4.
4.
3 forward and 1 reverse in case of attack from the rear. No, 3 reverse and 1 forward.
I knew you.
I always get it
I
wrong.
thought it was the Italians then.
You listen to my jokes. That's your problem. Same as when you read that writing, when they got the writing and it's all gibberish and everything, right? But as long as it's got the right number of letters, and possibly the same letters, but not necessarily in the right order,
Oh,
you
your
can still
brain,
read.
Your brain will still see
We'll still
it.
figure out what it is, right?
Yeah.
So I figured that I talk the language I do, and most people understand what I'm trying to say. Just quit trying to correct me. Enjoy the flow.
Well,
Yeah,
I just like
that
to
way
play
we
with
can-
the idea.
That way
you
we
know?
can show our camaraderie.
Yeah. Well, I think we're showing our camaraderie.
Keeping our shit together.
Camaraderie, we keeping our shit together in the camaraderie.
Thank you very much for tuning in tonight, ladies and gentlemen. If we ever see you again, that's your problem, not mine.
Time to roll a joint. Again.
Wow, that was all.
I was fun.